All right, all. It is 1:30, May 18th, our last What's Up Wednesday live. Thank you all for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome. We hope that you find it useful. Again, our goal here at Pasonic Partners is to inspire wholesome meals to fuel healthy lives, and we do so through several different ways, and this is one of them. And this is our every third Wednesday of the month this year. We have come to you with what we call our curated Cliff Notes versions of the need to know ideas, inspiration, and innovation to fuel your program success. And so we too today welcome our followers on Facebook Live. If you're joining us from Facebook, hello, hello. We appreciate you. I'm not such a social media savvy person, so we have our partners. We couldn't have done it this year without our team with Lindsay Sims, who has helped us really kind of up our game in terms of information that we are putting out in our social networks, including this production. So again, thank you to that team. I would be remiss if I didn't take this last opportunity to thank my team. Looking at this quote here today, again, it's not how you start the race or maybe how you ran it and had to take a break, maybe a breather, a little extra water break this year in the ups and downs that were supply chain, staffing, and just really kind of getting ourselves back into the buildings, right? It's a wonder we are all crossing the finish line. You all know I'm not a runner, but for those of you who have ever watched a really long marathon, you know at the end of the race, it's a blend of pure exhaustion, exhilaration, and relief. And I think all of us can go today by saying, in some days we feel all of that all at once, maybe. But we know that we finish and will finish the finish line of this school year, and we look to help prepare you. For those of you who are going to engage in summer meals, we applaud you for your continued service in your communities to those students that need it the most. For those of you who are taking a break, we applaud you. You deserve it. We feel like you have done, again, this marathon together, and we really, really do hope the resources here have made that a little easier and bearable for you throughout the time with us. We have a really fun, I think, information packed, of course, as always. I am going to pass it over to our team to kind of go through our topics today, and we have a special guest. I would be remiss if I didn't say hey, hey, hey to Chef Tim. I see his smiling face. He and I are going to have a chat again for first timers. Those of you who know, we have incorporated a fun little podcast live. We love that aspect of really staying connected in our communities, connecting and engaging with folks that have something to contribute for your success, as well as just perspective as all things school food service, nutrition in general, and food. And so we love our recipes, we love our menus, and we love our chef partners. And so today you'll get a nice chance to hear firsthand some of what one of our chef partners is up to and what he hopes to help us with when we inspire you on August 3rd. So little spoiler alert, kind of a big packed agenda. We do have some caught doing something good moments. Again, if you are doing anything in your program, please share it. We want to be a sounding board and an amplification of all things. When one of us achieves something special, we all achieve something special. And I think in this community at Pasonic Partners and beyond, being able to tell that good story out is really, really important. And so we will share some of our caught doing something good moments, and again, encourage you to share with us so we can help share your message. This session is packed full of admin. So we always try to include, with the help of our resident expert, Sarah Carlson, all the ins and outs of what we know today about what the USDA and certainly ODE, because most of you are tuning in as clients from our Ohio perspective, but beyond. I mean, this has been an ever-changing landscape in terms of where we see the waivers ending and the endemic times of what has happened for the past 2 years, and really, hopefully, a springboard of knowledge and getting you up to speed on program integrity, including checking the list of all the things you need to do and have ready for your school year next year and ending this school year. And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to our resident expert in Healthy Meal Planner Pro and detail-oriented recipe development, and that is Miss Marge. So Marge, take it away with menu matters and inspiration.
Thanks so much. Happy May, everybody. So as we're starting to think about summer, for those of you who might be doing summer meals or even just thinking about your menus for next year. Of course, we're always encouraging use of local produce, and summer is a great time to use local produce. It's more plentiful, more flavorful, less expensive. So we just wanted to share this resource, a seasonal food guide where you can plug in your location, what season, and it'll tell you what items are available for you to use. So again, kind of steal this idea. I saw this picture of this watermelon and I thought this was a fabulous idea. So watermelon with a little yogurt on it. And then especially in the summer when maybe we have some berries and want to feature those, but don't maybe have a large quantity, or the cost may be prohibitive to serve a large quantity, you could just make a watermelon pizza. And I think kids would love that. Also, berries used in a parfait. Of course, kids love a parfait. You could use, this one has strawberries and blueberries for like a patriotic parfait, especially if you're serving meals around 4th of July time, or really any time over the summer, something to think about there. When we think about summer, of course, we think about barbecues. So some of the recipes that we have available, again, you can always request these from us. Back when we were doing some grab and go kind of meals, curbside meals, we developed the kind of chicken flatbread concept, where you use like a barbecue sauce and barbecue chicken that has some pineapple and black beans. So that might be an easy summer meal that you might want to try. Also, pulled pork and sweet potatoes kind of goes well together with a little barbecue sauce over that, or maybe even like a Hawaiian barbecue chicken wrap. Again, a great summer kind of light, something that would be great to serve. So again, when we think about summer, I always think about veggie salads, pasta salads, and we do have our cookbook that has quite a few of those recipes in there. Some of them are listed here. So we will put the link in if you are interested in getting our cookbook. The cookbook has not only the recipe, but oftentimes it has a video to show how to make the recipe, or step-by-step pictures on how to create these recipes. So as you're, again, planning summer meals, planning menus for next fall, maybe try some new, get some inspiration, and we have that cookbook to help you do that. Again, one of the best ways to get a hold of us is we call it our ticket system, just sending an email to us at support@ppllc.info. And whether you want us to share specific recipes with you, we can do that. If you're one of our client schools who we help manage your menus in Healthy Meal Planner Pro, we can always share those recipes directly into your database. And if you want us to add those onto your menu after you've looked them over, of course, we can also do that. So just connecting with us that way. And then I think I get to do the fun part, the COTS doing something good this month. So this month we feature our little kids at one of our Head Start early child care centers, and our partners there are great at doing frequent try days. So this being spring, of course, we wanted to feature asparagus because it's in season. So they actually give the item to the students before they even taste the item. So here, I thought it was so cute. They gave the little ones just some raw asparagus to kind of explore in the classroom. And then they took a asparagus stalk and did some painting of flowers. And so by the time it was presented on the menu as a roasted Parmesan asparagus, even these little ones, the teachers reported, were really accepting of the asparagus. And then they had another opportunity later in the week to just have asparagus with their favorite ranch dip. to try it a second way. So this is just kind of an example of making that cafeteria an extension of the classroom and incorporating, introduction to new foods in a positive way. And so, we commend them for always taking proactive steps in doing that.
Marge, I want to just say your voice lights up when you smile and talk about the work you have done with the early childhood programs. And I love, and thank you for that. The example of this also to remind all of our listeners is that you can't be too young to start new things. And it's actually at the young age and the multiple attempts and in multiple ways is what we've seen be most successful. And so one of the things I will give a shout out is we actually recorded a podcast with several of our frontline staff that also do tri-days. And so that is one of our podcasts that will be coming out this summer. If you're interested in the anatomy of a successful tri-day as early childhood programs like this and beyond, we think that's such an important step when trying to innovate on your menu is to really incorporate the communication and collaboration with your students. And Marge, you stole my line, but we sing it all together, like from the same song sheet, make the cafeteria an extension of the classroom. And it does add that value into what you bring, not only as the SFA or school supervisor or cook, or even the person serving the food. It really lends your expertise to being a teacher. And I really think that's an awesome opportunity.
Well, thank you.
So we are going to pass it over now to Miss Sarah. She is going to do our admin roundup. This one is lengthy. So again, one of the things we've tried to do is inspire you. We know if you've joined us and it's at the end of your workday, we appreciate you're getting some inspiration. Remember to sign up and check out that cookbook. We are here to deliver innovation, even if it's something you dog ear and want to look at while you're relaxing over the summer. We're so intrigued by your feedback, and we also want to see what we can do to further serve you in edition 3. So stay tuned. We'll talk more about that. I'm going to pass it at this point over to Sarah because we can't give good service unless we get it. And the service right now, in terms of what we need to continue to expect from information on getting our program's integrity up and going, is where we are going to focus for the next couple slides here. So Sarah, take it away.
All right, thanks, Maureen. So as we close this year, we're already always then looking into the upcoming year. So menu planning for fall. If you do work with us, please get us your menus as quickly as possible, and we'll do them in the order in which we receive them. As Maureen said, we're really hoping to inspire everybody to think about going back to the basics and really getting in there and doing some speed scratch cooking in the fall. That will really help with sodium content, which is something we'll be talking about, as well as keeping costs down. So if you are again on our Healthy Meal Planner Pro, we will be doing archiving of your menus. So if you go into your menus at the end of this month into June, you may see lots of menus that you're like, that's not active, I'm not using that, particularly if you're doing summer meals. So please make sure that you're grabbing the right menu. The menus have to be active in order for us to be able to archive them. So that is what you will see in the upcoming weeks. If you have any questions, please reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to help you with any questions that you have. Remember to do your detailed final end of year inventory that is due. Your treasurers have to report out on that, as well as just a good practice to know what you have for fall so that you can get those items on your menu early and start using up that inventory. Something else that we have been seeing as we're out in the buildings, we have quite a few new folks coming into school as we have ladies and gentlemen deciding to retire and move on to their next stage of life. So if you need Serve Safe or person in charge training, please reach out to us. I do that for our team, as well as we can connect you with the Board of Health if the date that I have set doesn't work for you. There does need to be at least one person in every building that is Serve Safe Level 2 certified. So please ensure that that is the certification that they have. If they took that test prior to 2018, so in 2017, 2016, those have expired as of this year, and you would not have gotten the ODH Level 2 Forever certificate for schools. So if that is the case, you will need to take the test one more time. I know it's everybody's favorite thing to sit with the bubble sheet again, but just one more time and then you'll be good. You'll be set for life. And then of course, any of your new employees, make sure that they take that training as well. We are going to talk a little bit more about the supply chain assistance funds. We did get a little more clarity from ODE this week on that, so that will be coming up in the next couple of slides, as well as our back to school boot camp. So mark your calendars. It's August 3rd. We're very excited. Chef Tim is on the call today, and he will be joining us for that. Again, just to get you all back in the kitchen and really excited about prepping and serving really good, healthy scratch food to the kiddos. There is an updated non-discrimination statement and a new Justice for All poster that is available, so you can reach out to your ODE specialist if you are in charge of that, and they will get those posters to you. You just have to tell them how many you need, and they will send those your way. And make sure that you have those updated, because if you're up for administrative review, they will be looking for those. And then, of course, we are returning to free, reduced, and full paid lunches. But again, if you have any questions, as we've been saying over the last couple of months as we found this out, please reach out to our team. We've been strategizing best ways to look at this, ways to figure out pricing, and we'd be happy to help you with that. This is something we need to make sure that we're doing. We haven't had to do this through the pandemic, but we are required to report this. So if you log into CURS, you need to report your community eligibility provision numbers. So you'll just click next to school year 21-22. You'll only enter the number of direct certified students, homeless, or foster. You do not use your free and reduced students for these numbers. So again, that's just your direct cert, homeless, or foster students get put in on those numbers. Free and reduced students are totally separate and don't count towards your community eligibility provision. And ODE is just asking that the SFAs complete this as soon as possible. And if you need new equipment, I might suggest that you get on your computer in the next week or so and get those things ordered. First of all, to be prepared to make sure you get it for August if it's something you're really wanting for your new menus for back to school. Also, probably most importantly, there is going to be a 14% increase come June 1st on equipment through our bid. So really good idea to get those orders in now to save you some money and save you the stress worrying if that piece of equipment is going to come in or not. And then this is another question. So if you're still kind of trying to determine if you want to do summer meals or if you're even eligible to do summer meals this year, we did get further clarification on this. So the seamless summer option waiver does end on your last day of school. Or if you go through June, which none of our schools in Ohio do. So whatever your last day of school is, that seamless summer option does expire for everyone. So you can determine eligibility in special ways this year. So, and that is just for this summer. So you can use your free and reduced numbers after July 1, okay? And then, or you can use your direct certification numbers. And we're gonna talk a little bit more through this in the upcoming slides and how you calculate that. So you identify how many students you have that are eligible for your reduced. So let's say you have 400 students, you would times that by 1.6. If that number is 50% of your total student enrollment or greater, then you are eligible to serve summer meals this year. So, and that is different because typically it's only your community eligible numbers that you're allowed to use, but they are allowing us to use free and reduced data this year. So again, that's times 1.6. You need to get at least 50% or greater, then you can do summer meals. Again, if you have any questions, please just let us know. Also, if you have a school district where maybe one of your buildings is CEP, but not all of your buildings are CEP, you are also eligible to serve summer meals because of that CEP eligible school building. And then the 30-day carryover, because this is something that we'll all jump right back in August and be looking at. So, and of course, we haven't really done free and reduced applications for a couple of years. So what do? So Brian Davis from ODE did answer those questions on Tuesday during the town hall. So this 30-day carryover of eligibility status is based on your most recent information that you have for the student. So that includes direct certification and your free and reduced price applications. So here's some examples that they went through. If the student was eligible for free or reduced in school year 2019-2020, their free or reduced status does carry over for that first 30 days of school moving into next school year. if they were on the direct cert list in October of this school year, or any of your direct cert lists from this school year, that direct certification eligibility carries over for those first 30 days of school as well. If you have no prior information on a student, they're new to the district, they've never filled out an application, they'll start as paid and they need to get an application filled out if they want to be considered for free or reduced. And then ODE did give us some more guidance on the transition plans that we have. So we are officially moving to a 5-year review cycle for the administrative and procurement reviews. Very happy to hear Tina and our whole team were round of applause, and you all will probably feel the same way. The administrative review and procurement review will occur in tandem in the upcoming review year. So when you upload all that financial documentation for your administrative review, that is the same documentation that they will be looking at for your procurement review. So you will not be asked to upload your BUD/LED 10 times for the administrative and procurement reviews moving forward. So they're just going to use one set of documentation. I was super happy to hear that, and I feel you probably all will be too, as well as ODE, because it got to be a lot of attachments in that attachment section for sure. If you go into your KERS right now, yes, there is a review date on there. They're asking you to please disregard that current date. That is based on the old 3-year administrative review cycle, and they are still working to update those dates. They are saying sometime mid-fall, that will be more accurate to when your review actually will be. So a way to explain that is if you had a review in year 16-17, technically under the 3-year, you would need one this upcoming school year because it's been way more than 3 years since you've had one, but it will just be some time within the next 5 years. So you may go a longer period of time before you get that review. Again, if you have any questions on that, you can reach out to us or to your ODE program specialist. There is a paid lunch equity waiver this year, I think, and a new version of the paid lunch equity tool as well. Completion is not required. So I think that the thought is, Tina and I were talking through this morning, is that a lot of us have fed a lot of kids this year and have been lucky to end with a positive fund balance. So the paid lunch equity tool has never been required to be completed if you have a positive fund balance as of December of the previous school year. So you can still use that as a tool to figure out what should my lunch prices be. I know that's a question some of us still have. We'll talk about that as well. And the wellness policy waiver. So if you, for some reason, could not get your triannual wellness policy assessment done, they are giving you a waiver to complete that by June 30th of 2023. They believe this will be the last extension on that. So please do put that on your calendar to make sure you do that in the upcoming school year. Reimbursement rates. I know it's something we all want to know. Tina and I really want to know as we're trying to set prices, as we're getting on those last board meetings of the school year and getting ready for next year. So that is still pending at the USDA. That isn't anything to do with the pandemic or endemic. That's pretty typical. They usually always wait until mid to late July to release that. We just usually aren't in this transition phase that we find ourselves in this year. So try to do your very best if you have to determine your lunch prices before this comes out to what you think it needs to be based on your plate cost. So our recommendation is probably somewhere between $3.25 for lunch for elementary, and then for your bigger kids, probably $3.50 to cover the increased charges with inflation that is coming. Summer PEBT, they're telling you to continue to watch the items of interest that ODE sends out for additional information. And there is a Q&A section on that on ODE if you have any further questions. And your program specialist, of course, will always help as well. You can reach out to them, but just do make sure that you get that information to the state as well before you leave for summer. And 2-year nutritional standard transition, they are giving us a bit of time. There is a USDA webinar available that talks through this. I don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed with the transition. I know the reduction in sodium has been a little bit of a worry. It's only 10%. it's really, really not that bad. And as we have looked at menus and started menu planning, it's pretty easy to tweak that a little bit if you think through maybe making some of your own salad dressings or sauces, things that tend to come, if they come in a jar or a packet, they come loaded with sodium as a preservative. So really easy ways to get those, and we'll be sharing a lot of those ideas at our back to school boot camp on August 3rd. So the supply chain assistance fund. So what is allowable and not allowable? So at the end of the day, again, we were talking through this. I think the easiest way to explain this simply is that for the most part, the allowable foods have one ingredient. If you look at an item and it is one whole item, okay, nothing has been added to that item, it is an allowable cost that you can spend that money on. Anything that is not allowable is processed. And when a lot of times when things get processed, and when we think about processed foods, it's shelf stable foods, foods that have been, things have been added to them, they've been changed in form. That is what isn't allowable. I think it's pretty safe to say that between milk and fresh fruits and vegetables, we could very easily spend through those funds, as well as just buying whole ingredients to make things like salad dressings. Because again, those are whole ingredients that are utilized to make that product. We did reach out and ask about local pizza dough. I know that that was a question. ODE did say no, that has too many things added to it for that to be permissible under these allowable costs. And then record keeping, pretty simple. We are suggesting to treasurers that they earmark the amount as a miscellaneous amount in the 006 account, and that we just start paying dairy bills or fresh fruit and vegetable bills out of that money so that we can easily track it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to drive you crazy. It doesn't have to drive your treasurer crazy. It can be just that simple. I might suggest that I'll pass it and Tina will chat a little bit about the milk shortage that we are all experiencing right now. If you think maybe I won't spend all the money on dairy because dairy is a little bit of a hiccup right now, I might encourage you to think about maybe ordering some other fruits and vegetables that you don't typically order and trying them out for the kids. This might be a fun time to get kiwis or eggplants or things like that that we don't typically serve in schools that are a little more costly, as a fun way to use that money and expose the kids to other items. So another great thing, the government has been pretty gracious, I would say, through the pandemic and endemic. We are getting additional funds for our DoD programs. So if you do participate in the Favors program or Dod Fresh, there you will go in, when you log in, you will see an extra line of money. So you'll see whatever, if you allocated $10,000 to the DoD, you'll see another line of money that is in there. That is additional funds through the supply chain assistance that have been provided for the people that do participate in the Favors program. That money will run July 1 through September 30th, or until you use it all. So, and then if you don't use it all come September 30th, it just goes away and it goes back to the 10,000, pulling from the $10,000 you initially gave to the DoD. So a really nice way to be able to offset and again, offer more fresh fruits and vegetables to kids. They're really trying to help as we do see price increases on a lot of these fresh items. So now I will pass it to Tina to talk to you a little bit about our ideas and hope for milk.
I know, Sarah, that was a lot. Don't panic. Don't panic if you've been listening. I know. End of the year is supposed to be breezy, easy, go through. We thought pandemic's ending, we're gonna have no issues. A lot of information, but that's what it is, information. So don't panic. We will get through this. We've gotten through the past 2 years, so don't panic about it. Just a lot of ends they need to tie up, so don't worry about it. What we got milk. We've all seen in the past couple months, we've been having a little bit of issues with our milk, not getting it processed, not getting the items. What do we do? Everybody's panicking. So as you all know, we are all about, okay, what do we do? Let's get this all in line. We start with step A. By the end of the year, we may be at step Z, double Z this year. So let's think about this. We want you to kind of be prepared. If the milk doesn't come in, what's our next step? So as a director, as somebody looking through things, think about this. We're going to look through HPS has got more bids that are on there. There are different vendors on there that maybe our OSC bids are out and we can't get it from them. Maybe we look into different vendors. HPS has got a list of vendors that can get to us. Okay, maybe the vendors are, which we've seen a couple vendors that have said, sorry, we're filled up, we can't do it, sorry, but you're going to have to move on. So step 2, what do? Maybe we look for milk dispensers. That's the one thing we've kind of looked through, trying to figure out what's the second option. Colleges have the fill your own milk dispensers, and that's what we kind of looked into. They have the Maureen calls them the udder bags, the big bladders, the 5-gallon bladders of milk that you can throw in these. Not necessarily saying, hey, let's give it to the elementary kids, but it's something that you may be looking into your secondary, your middle school, your high school, and fill these dispensers up there where there's a little bit more, a little more caution with it. And we've looked into pricing on it. It's not as bad, it's when it's all said and done, possibly, a little bit more, but who knows what milk's going to cost next year anyways. So, if you have to maybe, and the dispensers can run anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000. So it may sound like a lot, but we all have a little bit of money extra to spare right now. So, we want to look at a secondary option for it. And by doing this, having the kids fill their own milks, maybe get washable glasses. Don't hit me. Don't throw things at me. But, think about possibly doing that, get glasses that the kids can refill every, we put them through the wash. We do our trays. Why not the glasses? Not the most ideal way to do things in our minds, but it's definitely going to be a way that we get the milk out to our kids that they have to have. And you do have to have milk on your meals for a reimbursable meal. So there's another way you could possibly do it. And then you also have your shelf stable milk. Unfortunately, shelf stable milk, you cannot use in that supply chain assistant funds. So that's one of the things you may, again, I'm sorry, in my mind, milk sitting on a shelf. I don't know. What do you think? So
keep it chilled. If you're going to use it, keep it chilled. That's my only advice, because I don't know about warm milk. Anybody, that would get with that. But I think what you're exploring are great options. And I think one of the things we pride ourselves is we are being proactive in this discussion at Pasonic Partners to help you be proactive in your thinking. Our worlds have changed over the last 2 years. And I think thinking about some of the schools' sustainability plans, and even some schools that are really moving heavier towards reducing, recycling, and composting, it's always good to know your options. And in this case, with the financial and supply chain issues, it's imperative you know your options and kind of have a game plan. And so even if that shelf stable is your, whoops, we didn't get our order plan, knowing that you have a fail-safe, a safety net, and you can still have an integrity in your counting and claiming, so you can have a reimbursable meal. You will be proactive instead of reactive if you're one of our team schools, and whomever we get to influence with this call today and beyond. I think that's the best plan, is just to be proactive. I don't know if you have anything else to say, but I know HPS and I and the state of Ohio and June Wed at American Dairy and Jan Diamond at American Dairy, we are all putting our heads together to try to get best case resources and scenarios for all of you. So stay tuned with Pasonic Communications. We definitely are very interested in giving you a playbook of options to be successful as it relates to milk. And I know, Tina, you've also reached out to our HPS partners just to kind of get a sense of the cost of equipment. So if you're thinking you want to order equipment, we already said it, order early, but we do have some ballpark figures for you. And I would just encourage you to reach out to one of us so we can further discuss this with you and get your plans set in motion. All right, here's our udder machines.
That's kind of the picture of what you'd be looking at, our little udder bag.
I know. I said that in a public meeting, and they're bulk milk dispensers for those of you who aren't, politically incorrect like myself, but I think the udder machine is kind of funny.
I like the name of it. But we do have a waiver right now going on. It does expire June 30th. So I know we've had some issues here recently and we've had people reach out. What do we do? What do we do? Am I doing something illegal? No, we're all right as of right now till June 30th. We do have a waiver. So put in place, if there was not able to have milk on there, you still will be get reimbursed. Do not panic. Now, next year, who knows? This does expire June 30th. I'm sure ODE and everybody will go to the table. USDA will go to the table and figure out what happens if these issues are something that could be a consistent problem again next year. So, and then our new GFS ordering platform. Every one of you is a bit of you. I don't know. I hope you've all been out there and tried it. It's phenomenal. I utilized it today for the first time. We get an order tomorrow and my girl panicked and said, I don't need buns. What do I do? I need to cancel it. So went on and was able to delete that right away. So we don't have to worry about now having to figure out how to get rid of a case of buns at the very end of the school year. So, very step-by-step. Chip was phenomenal in his little webinars that he does. I'm very simple-minded when it comes to computers, so I understand it, and he gets me on board and has helped me many times through these webinars. So make sure you're doing it. Go on there, check it out. They're really neat and easy to do.
I love that. And I know that if you haven't looked in the chat, some of these resources are being dropped into the chat, but have no fear. We will do a follow-up email with all of these links you're seeing. I know Kathy is on the call. Our friends at Gordon are sending you emails. I know my email gets inundated, so we would just caution you to check this out if it's in your email box and you haven't looked at it yet. We're going to keep sending this information to you because one of the things we know about supply chain is it has been a little crazy, but we know that those little lists, the supply chain lists that Gordon has put together, are going away. So again, talk about being proactive instead of reactive. It's really about 28 minutes or less of watching somebody really engaged and who cares about our success with Chip and the team at Gordon Food Service to help you be successful. So I would encourage all of you to put this on your end of year checklist so that you can have peace of mind for your summer ordering and or your back to school ordering. Well, with that being said, Tina, anything else for the greater or the good?
Nope, we're all good. Just hang in there. There is a light at the end of this tunnel, people.
I know. Well, at Episonic, we always want to not bog you down, but give you the Cliff Notes version. That was a little hefty Cliff Notes lift. So I appreciate your patience in listening to all of that. Again, our goal is to curate, remind, checklist, give you highlight reels, and really the need to know information. The dynamic nature and the changing nature of information given to all of us, not just in Ohio, but nationwide, relative to the USDA meals program has really, again, it's like that race. You saw, if you're crossing the finish line, you feel like you still got a little bit more to run to get past there. But I have the pleasure, I'm going to stop sharing, so it's just us, to be able to be with Chef Tim McCoy today. And for those of you who have ever been with Pasonic Partners for any one of our trainings, including the way back when summit at our barn all the way out in Oberlin, Chef Tim has been a partner through all of this with us. And I just really want to, first of all, thank you again in your role and what you do. You don't have to make time for us in school food service, but you always do. And it just is a comfort to me as a professional, helping other professionals, but also, again, one of those warm and fuzzy feelings of the village of support that we all have in this business to be together. So, you know, I know you well, and most of our viewers right now have experienced you, but please just give us a little bit about who you are, your background, and again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm Chef Tim McCoy. I'm the Education Director at ACASI, which is the professional division of the Loretta Paganini School of Cooking in Chesterland, Ohio. We offer professional education to future food service professionals, and we also have a very extensive recreational program for people in the general public who are interested in cooking.
Oh my gosh. So I've taken one of his classes and it was so very exciting. And for those of you who don't know, this school is not that far away, just east of us here in the Northeast Ohio region. And they are also now back to taking like some fun vacations. Let's give Loretta a plug because she's back and just certainly one of the most influential fabulous, talk about inspiring global cuisine. Tell us what Loretta gets to do and what you get to do. I think you're going somewhere fun too.
Well, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm here right now, and
holding down the fort.
my travel is a little bit more imaginary. We're doing a series of international classes right now with our senior students. Chef Loretta is in Italy for the next 6 weeks on culinary tourism adventures. She's got a number of different groups. She'll be starting a different group approximately each Sunday. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So when we started in the beginning, of course, Farm to School has always been our plug and our pitch, and scratch cooking has always been our back to the basics. But one of the things I will say, besides just the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion that schools are really trying to embrace, one of my favorite things that I just spoke about with one of our California clients was how easily it is to really share and embrace and engage people around cultural foods. And so way back when I came to the school to talk with you when we recorded our first podcast together, and you made this best Korean fare of food, and now you have something with coffee. So again, I guess practicing what I preached. For those of you who know me, I am quite the foodie, and I really do encourage you, if you are not working in schools this summer, look at what the Paganini School has to offer, not only for your personal enjoyment, but just opening up your mind to flavor combinations and cooking techniques and flavoring techniques that, again, just blow my mind. So again, we are just thrilled to have you. I know we have a couple of things we want to get to, so I'm going to ask my first question. We are rounding out this school year after probably a 2-year period in all of our careers and lives. Give us some of the perspectives of how you survived and thrived through the last 2 years in the food service industry, given the pandemic and now endemic times. You know, we talked a little bit about food chain disruptions today already. We all know we're looking and still continue to look for staff that are willing to learn and engage in the food service area. So tell us a little bit from your perspective what that has been like for you.
Well, we're almost back to normal now, but it was a very rough transition for us when we first had the COVID shutdown. The very nature of training people to cook generally requires them to be present with you. So we were thrown into a extreme situation. For our professional students, we had 2 weeks left in our winter quarter, and we scrambled to get virtual class sessions put together for our students. If you remember at that time too, we weren't really quite sure quite how transmissible the COVID was. So we broke down our buildings, and Chef Loretta, Chef Stephanie Paganini, Chef Loretta's daughter, and I were the only 3 employees left working. And we each had a different segment of the building as our studio. We didn't even know if we could be with each other.
Oh,
So
wow.
we each did our own prep work and tried to limp our way through those last professional classes. The recreational classes were just outright shut down for a period of time. Luckily, the state regulatory body and our federal accrediting agency were both very generous in allowing us to go into virtual training without going through the usual authorization process. So we were able to make that pivot quickly. One of the things that was unexpected to me that was quite a challenge is I was unable to find any additional cameras anywhere, because virtually everybody in every kind of school was on virtual instruction. So I basically had to give cooking classes with only the camera attached to my laptop.
Oh my goodness.
I got very good at finding different angles for close-ups and things like that, and learned a lot about the process of how to do a video class. For our recreational classes, we were shut down completely for a couple weeks, but after about the 3rd week, what we started doing is offering virtual classes, and we'd have customers come to the school. We'd provide the food to them, just like restaurants were doing for pickup orders. We'd let them take the food home, we'd let them take the materials home, and then check in later on for our Zoom classes and eat the food that we had prepared as they were watching us show them how to prepare it.
Oh, that is so cool. So we, great minds think alike, or, we just have this symbiotic brain power going on, because we too created what we called our Food for Thought series. And for those of you who haven't seen it, we do have that on our YouTube channel. Those same little babies trying that asparagus, their parents were provided an interactive way to continue to engage with the community in Lorain County around recipe development. And not only did it encourage folks to continue to think about that cafeteria as an extension of the classroom, we would have been lost without the opportunity. As much as sometimes we hate looking at each other on camera, it really became a lifeline at that point. And I think for those of us who really kind of, to your point, pivoted in that direction, we know we're still so excited to go back in person. So like August 3rd, I'm like chomping at the bit that the world stays on its axis and we could all be together. But have no fear, you have two people and a team of people behind Chef Tim and myself who, if anything, we're going to find a way to continue to teach, right? And to explore. So I just appreciate that perspective. Tell us a little bit, we talk about milk being an issue and supply chain stuff. How has that affected your culinary efforts at the school?
Well, we've had a couple of problems with it, and they usually pop up at unusual times. 2 weeks ago, I needed a chicken. Apparently, it was impossible for 2 days to find a whole chicken anywhere. So luckily, one of the things that we base our professional program on is understanding techniques more so than specific ingredients. So we train all our students, if you are going to utilize a particular technique and you can't find the exact ingredient you want, what are the eligible substitutions? So we're usually able to substitute something there. At other times, it just becomes an opportunity for creativity and a new recipe is developed on the spot.
I love it. I think that's what we all lived through this year in our supply chain woes in schools. And, we tell people to get back to the basics of bars, because you can really wing it when you have to substitute out a component. One other thing that we know, at least in our industry, that's really important is we're still not only teaching the technique, the creativity, but the menu transparency, and really teaching folks that the ingredients they use and the transparency of the menu that they're making really is imperative. So for us, part of our goal this year was just to continue chasing after menu updates so that our parents could view the My School Menu app that we help program in schools to see if their child was something, allergic to something or needed a carb count for something. And so learning what menu modifications work from a qualitative standpoint in terms of a recipe being palatable, but also safe, is such an important concept around why it's important to invest in your own culinary training and knowledge and how to make those pivots and those transitions pretty quickly. So I love that.
Ever more important in food service in general. I've been doing this for 40 years now, and it's still a continuing upsurge. We try as hard as possible to meet every kind of nutritional need or to account for people's allergies and preferences here at the school. And that's actually part of our professional students training. We do alternative cooking units where we do gluten-free baking, we do sweetener substitutions, we do vegetarian cooking. We pretty much cover it. It's a part of every professional's training now.
I just love that. I love that. So I don't know if you've gotten a chance to peek at it, but we were super proud of our new cookbook. That was another pandemic pivot. We wanted to continue to inspire folks to be able to look and see and in some ways watch videos or be connected to.
Beautifully made.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much coming from you. Oh my gosh, I'm going to blush here today. But, you inspired, these 4 pillars: harvest, simply fresh, global trends, and comfort classics that we could make readily available and wholesome for kids. Any chef advice for our next steps in this cookbook, given the areas of those areas? What do we need to up our game on, or what are some innovations you see on the horizon that we could include in the 3rd edition that should be coming out later this year?
Well, I like the general theme that you've had today of the cafeteria as an extension of the classroom. I like the fact that you're including global trends in there, and I think that's going to only increase as people get to know more about each other and the different food ways that we each come to from our different family backgrounds and national backgrounds. So I would say keep that up particularly. The other thing that I like is how you're introducing different flavor profiles and perhaps different ingredients. So I'd say once you find a theme that works, and I immediately noticed the Korean pickles, the Korean salad. So I would say try to continue working with those same ingredients. Once you've introduced them to somebody, make them a familiar item that they can incorporate into their own cooking. I think that when you look at the way that ethnic dishes are introduced into our more comprehensive American style cooking or contemporary American cooking, there's a period at which foods stop being ethnic cuisine and they become absorbed by everybody. I remember I started working in a Japanese restaurant. That's when sushi was on the other side and it was ethnic cuisine. Now I think sushi has taken on the same kind of role as pizza. People don't think of it as particularly ethnic anymore. It's not unusual. And that's when you can start to really get kind of clever and creative and start breaking the rules a little bit and kind of adapting those different ingredients in new ways.
I love that, Chef. And one of the things that we talked about before when we've even strategized with you is when you get an ingredient in the back of the house, it's important to learn its value and its versatility so that it's not just a one-hit wonder. And so it earns its a par level on your pantry shelf or in your cooler or in your freezer because it brings value, and it brings value in a multitude of ways. And so I love that you've, again, take some notes, ladies, in the background there. I mean, as we think about this third edition of the cookbook, we are asking folks that have joined us on these calls. We're asking, of course, our client schools and anyone really who has experienced the recipes to give us your candid feedback and also how we can make them more user-friendly. And that is a really good tip. Once you get something in your pantry, how do you use it over and again and in versatile ways? So that's inspired me even now. My little brain is going with that. Speaking of investing in the back of house ingredients, we know you're so experienced in that. You've helped us do mise en place. You've helped us think through that process. One of the main focuses when we transition now this year, as you know, we discussed, kids were able to get meals for free. Next year, we're looking at earning their participation. So most of our schools are going back in some ways to competing with that lunchbox or an open campus, perhaps, where kids can drive and get something at a fast casual option, or even go home in some cases. So one of the things we've seen emerging as an area of opportunity is not only taking really great ingredients into really great recipes, but how to get that cross the finish line. You know, today is about ending and crossing that finish line. The finish line for us every day in school nutrition is, what does it end up looking like on the cafeteria spread, right? The wayfinding, does it entice students with their five senses? Do they see a program that's enticing? Do they smell a program that's enticing? So talk to us a little bit about your best advice for our teams as we think forward, not only the ingredients into recipes, but how we will then present that, and a little bit from your background. I know you have a great background on presenting food, not just creating food.
So I spent many years of my career as a chef in a hotel, and virtually every day was at least one kind of buffet style presentation. And one of the important rules that I learned about doing that, first of all, the food has to look fresh. It has to be colorful. So you want to present different contrasting colors and shapes and textures. But another thing that I learned is that when you allow people to kind of assemble their own meals off a buffet line, and I think this does translate to cafeteria lines too, you want to make sure that each individual component is not too complicated and clashing too much with other ingredients. So sometimes simpler flavors, simpler seasonings might be good, and then you allow the consumer to assemble that in a way that fits their dietary pattern. So no matter how good it looks, they've still got to eat it at the end of the line. It's
100%. Not nutritionalists, they swallow it. We say that too.
right. So not only do we want to make it look good, we want to make it taste good. I feel like, in my experience, the more complicated items that were presented on a buffet line, the more hesitation people may have had about trying it because they weren't sure if there was an ingredient that didn't agree with them or that they just didn't prefer in that dish. So the items should be pretty self-explanatory. You should be able to tell exactly what's in it and have a good imagination what it's going to taste like.
I love that. That's really great advice. And I also think like kids love that MTO vibe, like made to order, and respecting them as a savvy little consumer. And we had one idea one time with just like the heat profile of the sauce. Like here's something that's, to your point, is it going to upset them, or do they like it really spicy? Do they like it a little sweet? Do they like it in the middle? And really maybe doing more wayfinding and explanation in visual ways, I think is very important when you think about how you display your menu.
One of the other recommendations that I would give you if you do have things that are presented in a buffet style is don't make that line extend too long. I think of the line at Chipotle, for example, very popular place where you can choose your own ingredients. You can see the end of the line when you start. So you know what your options are going to be. You don't want to be halfway through the line and be presented with an option you didn't know about that now may not fit in with what you've already begun to put on your plate or to assemble. So, it should be pretty apparent. What's the process? How am I supposed to put these things together? And what are my options?
I love that. I love that. Again, such great advice. I know we are coming up at the end of our time, but I have one more question that I just feel I want your insight on. All of us have really struggled with staffing. And I think, they call it the great resignation. There are certainly much more competition in terms of people being able to work from home or perhaps earn a wage that they want. Tell us a little bit about how your ideal team at the school operates. And as you are training people to go into the food profession, tell us just a little bit about tips and tricks that we might use as we explore hiring new folks, integrating new people and personalities onto our teams, and evolving as a profession.
Well, like all companies, we've been a little shorthanded as well. And we have some positions that are still open that we've been trying to get people into. So I feel like the ideal operating atmosphere is to have a well-defined mission that people can understand as soon as they come in. Even when they're applying for a position, we're very upfront. This is our mission. This is what we do. We want everybody to be on board with that mission and not have too many variations. Once people are members of the team, we want everyone pulling in the same direction. And I don't know, there's a tension between having somebody in a position of authority driving the mission and empowering people who are on the team to self-define what their mission is. And we try to encourage all the people on our team to consider themselves independent agents with the same goal in mind.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So dust off your mission statements, ladies and gentlemen, and make that part of your interview, application, and training programs. And so the last three questions are my favorite. I ask all of my people this. I've asked you this before, but I'm curious. In rapid fashion, tell us, what was your favorite school lunch?
Okay, in rapid fashion, I have two different memories. The first memory is my favorite school lunch when I was younger was tacos, because that was the first so-called exotic food that I ever ate. My family had a very normative, very bland seasoning palette. I shouldn't say this as a chef, but the first time I ate at Taco Bell was a mind-blowing experience for me. When I discovered I could get anything at school, I was happy beyond belief. My other school lunch memory was not so much lunch, but in my school district in New York, my community had grown very quickly. So seniors and juniors in high school had to start class at 6:45 in the morning. So we actually had the cafeteria open for breakfast before class started. That was actually state law. So every morning I'd get off the bus, I'd meet my two favorite ladies in the whole world at that time, Hildy and Lottie, who ran the cafeteria. And they would provide breakfast for us every day. They had regular breakfast on the school lunch program, but they quickly assembled a number of a la carte items, which I think fit with the high school student profile much better. And I remember those two women. They're in the front of my high school yearbook.
Oh my gosh. I love that you remember not only the food, but the people. So that's a note to take away, is how important all of us and the influence we have over the lunch experience or meal experience at school. One food you didn't like as a kid that you now love?
When I was a child, I absolutely could not stand mustard in any form and any fashion. Now I probably have 9 kinds of mustard in my refrigerator door, and I'd probably have more, except my wife told me don't buy any more mustard.
I love that. Lots of ways to use versatile marinade sauces, you name it. I'm a mustard gal, but that's funny because it's pretty strong. You love it or hate it, I think. I think this is a hard question, although last time you gave such an eloquent answer. What would be your one food pick for the rest of your life if you had one food or cuisine to pick?
I don't remember what answer I gave you last time, so I'm going to apologize if I give you a different answer now because
Nope.
my taste changed over time. But I love Asian food.
Mhm.
I like food that I can eat in smaller portions and where I can have more things on the table at once.
I
So
love that.
cuisines that are very good at that and are also generally considered relatively healthy. I love Japanese cuisine. That was my first training as a professional in a Japanese restaurant. I also love Indian cuisine. They both offer lots of options, lots of healthy proteins, relatively low in fat. Both India and Japan are known for longevity of their citizens. So I think
There you go. And we all at the Sonic hope you have the longest life because the world is a better place with Chef Tim in it. And again, just thank you today for your willingness to jump on this call. We are going to welcome Chef on August 3rd. So again, if you haven't heard, I'm going to remove you from Spotlight and share my screen. We'll finish up these last couple slides. I know we're up against the timeline here. Chef Tim will be with us on August 3rd, and a registration link will be dropped into the contact chat here today, as well as available for you in the follow-up email and on our website. And so please register early. We are going to try to invite as many guests as we can and have some wonderful continued conversation with our chef partners. As we wrap up today, I'm going to go through these resources. Save this date, mark it down, register early, bring your team, tell your friends. Our friends, speaking of friends, on the West Coast, Lunch Assist put together a really nice end of school year checklist. So we're going to share that resource with you. And also stay tuned in our contract renewals. There is going to be a special opportunity for schools that are our premier level partners, annual partners, to be able to have a greater access to Lunch Assist documents in the future. Here is a free farm to school virtual conference. I think this is obviously going right now. We're in the middle of it. If you didn't see it, try to tag on to the last half of this. Everything free is good. And this one in particular was endorsed by one of the best, Dale Hayes, in our industry, School Meals That Rock. So take a look at the Massachusetts Farm to School and see what we can do in our states to steal their ideas. Remember, just another little checklist here, share your summer meal locations. If you are not going to be able to continue to provide meals, there is still the minimal program obligation to tell folks where they can find a meal. And so this link here will help you get free resources to do that accurately and be able to keep that on file for your reviews. Again, thank you, Chef Tim, for your ideas and inspiration relative to versatile ingredients and ethnic ingredients, but we want to hear from all of you. If you haven't yet downloaded the cookbook, give us any feedback. Please feel free to contact or email any of us at Pasonic. Email our support line. Is there something you love and want a standardized recipe for, or you're just curious to see us include? We will be thinking about posting an opportunity to join a jam session, kind of a whiteboard brainstorming session on this as well. So stay tuned. And again, as we round out this year, we'd love to hear more from you. With that being said, my team was so gracious this week. They let me photograph them, and we are doing a little remake of our website. So it will be launched soon here at the end of the year. And our goal always is to help you find easy access to resources. So you will see more information in our podcast section, more information in our blog session, certainly recipe videos, recipes, partnerships with our team at Feed Our Future. We're scheduled to do another round of recipes with them as well. And if you haven't, we really want you to be able to access much of which is free resources. So went over by a couple of minutes. I apologize for that. Again, we at Team Pasonic really appreciate all the work you have done. We feel that we have been, we've lifted a heavy load together this year. And I know many of us are ready for that summer break, that sunset over Lake Erie or wherever your sunset sets and you prefer your rest and relaxation. A big thank you again to the team at ICASI, Loretta, Stephanie, of course, Chef Tim, who are near and dear to us in that they care enough to extend their knowledge, expertise, and time to support us in schools. And as always, you know how to reach us at Pasonic Partners. We wish you a restful break if you get one. We hope even if you're doing summer meals, you take some time for yourself. And we are here to help you not only end with the beginning in mind and start a successful school year 22-23, but wrap up any loose ends and get you well on your way to be running an awesome program next year. So thank you so much for your time this year. A final thought, we will be doing our newsletters over the summer, but this is a pause until September. So if you were someone that joined us frequently, this is our last live event for the school year, and the first one for school year 22-23 will convene in September. So look for our newsletters over the summer and certainly register for that August 3rd event. Peace and love. We wish you all the best. Thank you for your attendance today.